Today's video, I just want to quickly go through some of the different things that you can draw and create on your Pygame. So draw graphics is down here. But before we draw graphics, I will actually create a couple of colors. So we'll come up here to declare colors. And I hope you can forgive my British, or in my case, Australian spelling. I put the U in color. So let's create blue. And colors are just 3-digit RGB codes. So red, green, blue. So consequently, red will be that. Green will be 0, 255, 0. Now let's make up a yellow while we're at it, shall we? 255, 255, 0. We better have black and white. I do suggest you find yourself a good color code lookup cheat sheet. So if I just quickly open, this is one that I found on the internet. Alright, show me all the different possible color codes and what they create. Now, if you find a sheet like this where the codes are alphanumeric, okay, so we get all these letters in here appearing as well as the numbers, that means this is using hexadecimal, which you can use. So if I convert this white, if I make up the hexadecimal version of this for you, it would look like this: 0 lowercase x ff, comma 0x ff, comma 0x ff. Alright, so the first two letters basically indicate the red value, the second two indicate the green, and the last pair indicate the blue. Right, so if I wanted, and I've gone and closed Explorer, that's useful. So if I wanted this color here, FF65FD, it would look like this. FF65FD. Alright, so that's how you can convert using the written character codes for the colors. Anyway, now I've got some colors, let's draw something with them. And the first thing I am going to do, yes, sorry, getting myself confused, checking through my notes. Okay, is window.fill. And this is basically saying I want to fill in my entire screen with this color. Alright, so because the way we animate things in Pygame is to constantly erase and redraw 25 times a second. Alright, so animation, you don't actually move an object, you're just redrawing it in a slightly different place every time. And if you can wrap your head around that, then you're doing very well as a beginning programmer. Right, so what are some of the things we can draw? We can draw lines, rectangles, circles, ellipses, polygons. So let's just quickly go through how to do some of these. It will be very handy for you to have a cheat sheet of some kind, or some kind of reference guide to do this, rather than trying to remember this, because let's just face it, remembering this would be too technically onerous and a pain. And I can tell you right now, no programmer worth their salt does. You've got better things to commit your memory space to. So right now I'm just writing in a whole bunch of lines, which I will then come back and explain. So we've got window, and I'm going to make this green, 52, 160, 120, 40. Well, I mean, I could have used 50, it doesn't really matter. Pygame, let's draw a circle. Let's spell circle correctly. Let's spell Pygame correctly. Alright, so the first argument, window, is basically saying what screen do I want to draw this on. And so I'm saying I want to draw all this on a window, on the thing that I called window, which is up the top here. And then I'm saying what color I want it to be. Hopefully that much was self-evident. Alright, let's just see what these create, shall we? And then right, so we have a blue line, we have a green rectangle, and we have a white circle. So the line, it draws on our window. It is blue, and basically this is the starting coordinate of the line, so at position 50, 60. Alright, so 50 across on the X, 60 down on the Y, so that takes us to here. And then the 50, 160 is the end point, so down 160. Alright, X is 50, Y is 160, that's the end point. The 2 is the width. So if I change that to 10, stop and restart, we'll now have a thicker line drawn in place. Then the rectangle, again, draws on the screen that we called window, uses the color green. Okay, and then we have 4 sets of numbers inside brackets. And this is, the first 2 are your basically this is your top left X and Y position, so at 52, 160. And then you have your width and your height. So from here, this is position 52 across, 160 down. All right, and we have a width of 120 across, and we have a height of 40 down. And that's what all those numbers mean. And the reason it's filled in is because I didn't include this last number on the end. All right, and so without that, it will assume, Pygame will assume that I want a solid shape. So if I put a 1 here instead, we will now have a hollow rectangle of width 1. All right, so again, I can make it say width of 5 on the lines if I want. All right, and now I've got slightly thicker lines, and if I make it 0, it's the equivalent as if I left it off, and it will fill it in. All right, so I can either have the 0 or I can just not have that last number. All right, then the same happens with the circle. This time, the 110, 110 is the center point of the circle. All right, 40 is the radius, and then 1 is the width of the line. So just like everything else, I could make the width become 10 if I want. And if I didn't have that last number, then it would fill in and give me a whole circle. So we've drawn a line, a rectangle, a circle. We can also draw ellipses. So let's just quickly draw one of those. Pygame ellipse onto the window. Let's use that pink color we found earlier. Alright, and this time there are 4 numbers, and instead of the center point, just to confuse matters, let's talk about the way the ellipse works. Alright, 210, 100 is actually this position here on my mouse. It is the top left corner of a rectangle, as if there was a rectangle that contained the ellipse. All right, and then it is 80 across and 40 down. So if I took this same line and put a rectangle here, all right, but this time let's use a color that we will notice. So let's use that yellow, pink on yellow. That's going to be dreadful. Anyway, you're watching this video for the color art. All right, we have a rectangle. So basically, the ellipse command and the rectangle command work exactly the same. The difference is that the ellipse will draw an ellipse to touch the edges of the rectangle, whereas the rectangle will actually give you a rectangle. All right. So otherwise, those 2 commands work exactly the same. The last shape, okay, is if you have your own crazy shape that you want to create. That's where you fall back on the good old-fashioned polygon, where you can have as many vertices as you want. What have we not used yet is red. All right, and so basically we have one set of brackets that encloses all of our vertices, and then you have your width if you want on the end of that. And then inside here we have a bracket for each set of X and Y coordinates. So now inside each of these, so say if I want it to start at 2020, and then I can go to 5260, and then maybe I want to go to 17160, maybe 220, and that'll do. Let's get rid of the last one. All right, and then after that, it will link up this last vertice to your first vertice. So let's see what that looks like. That's just a 4-corner. Okay, so that gives me a parallelogram. So there you go, drawing some basic shapes using Pygame. Thanks for watching.